Well, thank you for being on the show, Trav. It is a pleasure to have you on here.
Elizabeth, stoked to be on. Stoked to be on. Yeah, let's go.
Yes, let's do this. Let's jump right in. So as we start, you are known as the bucket list guy. So how did you get that nickname and ultimately build this brand out of it?
Yeah, I am. I've been the bucket list guy for about 10 years. Someone actually called me the bucket list guy about 10 years ago. So real quick backstory, I was in the personal fitness training industry for over 20 years. That was my first business coming out of university. Started this thing called personal training back in the early 90s when this wasn't this industry of personal trainers. Did that for 20 years. Started with one client, tens of thousands of clients later. First to franchise personal fitness training studios in Australia. We had a chain of them. Did over 2 million personal training sessions. Quite a big business. But there's a breakdown before breakthrough story here. There always is, isn't there?
Of course.
Or confusion before clarity, storm before the rainbow, whatever analogy you want to give it. But at the end of the day, there were some toxic people, some situation, circumstances that kind of compounded into me being at the effect in terms of falling into a mild case of depression. But mild compared to what I've heard since. And but instead of going on heavy sort of antidepressants, I decided to really try and get to the root cause. And we're just talking offline there about psychology. I wanted to find out what I was actually going through and why I was in the state that I was. Always fascinated, sort of curious kind of person. So I found myself learning NLP, life coaching, going to if you put a course on back then, Elizabeth, I would have done it, run to the back of the room and upgraded. But I learned, a Cargill principle. I learned all of these law of attraction things and life coaching and whatnot, and really worked through some of the stuff that I had to work through in myself. And then right at the end of it was about a year and a half later, a very intense learning. A friend of mine said, "Hey, Trav, why don't you teach this stuff?" And that sort of helped me compartmentalize what I was kind of going through. So I put on a talk, nearly had to pay the 40 people to come to that talk. And it was crap compared to what I do now, honestly. Right. But I was so nervous. But for me, that was kind of like the big domino that I felt that I had to push over in my life at that point in time. And I did it. And about halfway through, I'm packaging all the stuff that I'd learned, my entrepreneurial history as well, mixed group of people. About halfway through, I started sharing my list to do before I died. I always had one written down since I was 18. And no one knew that about me. And so I started sharing this list and I said, who else has got one of these lists, to do before you die, actually written down, like out of your head and actually written down. And I soon discovered I was the only freak in the room. So I said, why do you get out of bed in the morning? Why do you want to earn money? Why do you want more time? And I just started asking questions. And quite commonly we get back, I'll pay off the house, put the kids through school, do a bit of travel when I'm older. Yeah, and possibly sicker. Is that it? So it fired up the group. And when right at the end, Joe, one of the participants, said, how's this list to do before you die stuff? It's like it's really fired everyone up. It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. And I went, ping, light bulb moment, went home and registered the bucketlistguide.com. And I've been doing that ever since. And around that same time, I'd had all of these commercial leases and things like this. And I felt a lot of burden from that business. And to be honest, I fell out of love for the business. So I read the 4-Hour Work Week.
Love it.
That also didn't help me, and on my bucket list, I've since had lunch with Tim Ferriss as well, and nice. Which was on my bucket list to do. And I, this whole online world, and you can remember back then when this whole online world was kind of starting, it was such a foreign concept. Now everyone's online, everyone's a digital nomad, but I thought the burden of all these commercial leases and gyms and that sort of thing to just running shit from a hammock in some faraway place like Thailand, that sounds pretty cool. Right. And so trapped, freedom, existing, living by default, lifestyle design, it was all kind of coming together. So for me, that's what I ended up going towards. So for the last 10 years, I've been running around the world as the bucket list guy doing this.
Wow. That is amazing. That is such an amazing story. And at first, like you just taking it in your own hands of, your mild depression, but you just wanting to do obviously on your own terms, and
Yeah,
so how did you start this bucket? Like you said, 18 years old. So
yeah,
why?
yeah. 18. I don't know. I picked it up in a Tony Robbins book or something like that, where was just write a list to do before you die, and I just wrote one down, and wherever I went in university, shared housing, wherever I lived, I had this little list to do before I die, always written down. And it was always the thing that I recalibrated on, that always was my true north, my compass. And for me, I kind of thought everyone did this, and it just helped me make decisions quicker. It helped me set up businesses quicker. And it reminded me of why, of what my business is for, what my job is for, what my career is for. And I say a bucket list is a tangible life plan where our career plan or our business plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around. So it really brings home this work to live principle, right? And if we get our jobs or our business, our careers done right, it should, and optimized, it should produce the two things that everyone wants: more time flow and more cash flow.
Yeah.
Double bonus if you actually love what you do, which I think that's the holy grail. Whereas I know in America, 89% of people who go to work every day are not into what they do. They call that statistic disengaged.
Yeah.
So, which is a scary prospect, So I think that's the holy grail, right? If you love what you do, you're of service to the community, you're of service to people, and it's giving you the time flow and the cash flow that you need to do your bucket list. I think that's the big, that's where all the planets align, right?
Yeah.
So, which a lot of people can't say. This is why we exist as coaches, to help people find that alignment.
Exactly.
And so, but for me, the bucket list concept has been a true reflection of who I am. And to be honest, Trav Bell out on the world stage as a speaker versus the bucket list guy, I probably wouldn't be on this podcast if I was just Trav Bell. I don't know. The bucket list guy is a lot better from a marketing point of view. And you've got to be able to stand out and rise above the noise, especially in the last 6 months. Every single business has gone online, and touch wood, it's been really good. It's got attention, but more importantly, it's been my way of keeping my own blinkers on as to what I'm here to do in the world. They say, I mentor a lot of speakers and other thought leaders, coaches, and I say, pick a highway, then pick a lane, and then own the lane.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what I've done. And being a serial entrepreneur, I'm sure you can, you know what I mean when I say this, Elizabeth. When you're a serial entrepreneur and all these bright, shiny objects are around you, it's putting the blinkers on for the last 10 years, as the bucket list guy, has been very, very, very painful at times. But all in all, it's go an inch wide and a mile deep instead of an inch deep and a mile wide, and that's what I've done.
Right.
And it's a reflection. It's a true reflection of who I am, and of my values, my authenticity, my vulnerability out into the world. And so I've created some really cool thought leadership around it, and now books and TED Talks and this sort of thing, just with that lens, that filter, that brand of bucket list. And it's so far so good. It's turned out quite well.
Oh yeah. The TED Talk was phenomenal. I mean, it was,
No, thank you.
It's what you just said it really resonates with me, because first of all, you have a great vision and a great mission statement right there. And that's why I think, like you said, there's a lot of, shiny objects that come to you. And believe me, like you said, I've had that come at me all the time. It's like idea, like you're
turn
an
on
idea.
The internet.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Oh my God, that's a great idea. But then you gotta know what your values are, And
It's
once
so hard. It's so hard to say no, and
right.
it's getting worse. And you know, like it's. I was with a client yesterday. I've got some higher level sort of one-on-one clients that are normally founders or CEOs. And I was just telling my client yesterday, and she had to show me some homework that she's done. You know, because we do some coaching every week, and she showed me, and she was getting ping, 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 all these notifications. I'm like, I told you to turn them off. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm getting around to it. I said to my client, since we've been sitting here and you've had your laptop open for 5 minutes, I've just counted 25 notifications.
Jeez.
What do you think how's your distraction muscle going? You know, like how's your attention? How's your focus? So that is a micro of the macro of what's actually happening every single day, you know, to our attention. And that's why a lot of people do go off down these little rabbit holes and get that, you know, our Gary Vee says, you know, we're in the attention arbitrage business right now. It's what we pay. Our attention is our most valuable commodity. And thank God I've got my attention's all on Bucketlist. It has been for 10 years. It's been skewed sometimes, but it gives me some real good guardrails on what to say yes to and what to say no to on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, no, and that's a good thing, because it, like you said, it keeps you focused. It's that, you know, that focus of what you want to accomplish and what you want to leave in the world. So you want to leave a legacy, and your truth in the bucket list is that legacy. I'm kind of curious, actually, what is on your bucket list?
Well, I've done I think nearly over 200 or 300 things. So I've done a lot of stuff already, and I've got another 200 to go. I mean, I'm at 200, 300 on the list. So, where do we start?
Well, how about the top three, like your top three? How about
okay,
that?
well, the top three I've done, you know, like were pivotal moments for me. One, okay, I'll backtrack. The two things that I actually wrote on my list to do before I die, before it was my official bucket list guide bucket list, was to go to Mount Everest Base Camp. That was the first thing. I always wanted to go to Mount Everest Base Camp. And the second one was to do a full Ironman triathlon. So better yet, the first one was that I had, I'm adopted.
Okay.
And I grew up with an amazing family in my parents, not my real parents, my biological parents, but my parents. And Dad, and this goes back to our conversation just now, my dad was still is, he's still alive, he's a diesel mechanic, you know, a wharfie, worked on boats, you know, in the unions, you know, all that sort of thing. And, you know, not a man of emotion, not a real worker. And here I am, his adopted son, a serial entrepreneur, totally different DNA makeup. So you don't reckon our conversations were a little heated growing up? Of course they were.
Yeah.
So I put on my bucket list when I sort of became the bucket list guy was to do a hike to do a big trek with Dad. And we did that in southwest Tasmania. Anyway, it took us 9 days, and you get dropped off by an aircraft, and they just drop you in the middle of nowhere, and you've got to walk back to the southernmost town in Australia called Cockle Creek, and you go through the Great South Coast Track. It's an amazing trek, big hike, and I did it with Dad and his two best mates and me. Long story short, we became closer after that. And it was because of my bucket list. So I wrote it down intentionally because I wanted to get closer to Dad and you know, be friends more so than we were. But then after we finished, and I told him that Dad, I was about 500 meters from the end actually before, you know, finishing the whole 9 days. And I said, Dad, I was walking behind him. I said, Dad, I just got something to tell you. And he's like, yep, what? And I said, I'm doing this hike with you, which is on my bucket list. He's like, and just kept walking. I'm like, in what I thought was going to be a big father-son kind of hug it out, move me moment, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
We finished. We had lunch, and he's going, Trev, what's a bucket list, mate? I went, oh, it's all the shit you want to do before you die. And he's turned to me and gone, after a long pause, wow. Well, I'm glad you put it on there because this has been effing special.
Wow.
Still no father-son hug it out moment though.
Yeah.
And then we got on the bus back to Hobart, which is the capital of Tasmania, our southernmost state here in Australia. He said, what else is on this bucket list of yours, Trav? I went, oh, there's like 400 things on it. It's like, really? Okay. What are they? Oh, I'll let you know. About 6 months later, a friend of mine said, who I bike ride with, and again, this is years and years and years ago, he said, Trav, and he's a mountaineer. He's from New Zealand. His name's Grant. He said, Trav, I'm going to Mount Everest. I went, whoa, take it easy. I'm a surfer. I'm not a mountaineer. I'm just, and he said, no, I know that you really want to go to base camp on Everest, but what we're doing is going with a full expedition team. There's 13 of us going to the top. He said, I'm going to Camp 1. Now we're going not on the traditional Nepalese side. We're going through Tibet. We're catching a train down through China, from Beijing into Tibet, into Lhasa, and then you catch a bus, you go up to base camp, and you can go to a peel off at base camp if you want on the northern side, or walk up to advanced base camp if you want. And I said, how much is it? He said, 15 grand. I'm like, oh, grand, I haven't got that kind of money, and I didn't have that money right then. And he goes, you know what? And he said something that stuck with me. He goes, oh, but you really want it. I know you've really wanted this since you was 18, and you'll find a way. I know you will. You know, and here's the thing, when the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out, right? And you become, when you want something that bad, it's not a matter of resources, it's a matter of resourcefulness.
Yes.
So I found a way, one thing led to another. I found a way. Dad, yep. You know that bucket list thing? Yep. Well, mate, we're going to Mount Everest through Tibet.
Wow.
Trav, where the f*** is Tibet? Anyway, it's part of China. It wasn't part of China. Now it's part of China. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's on the northern side, not on the Nepalese side. It's on the northern side of Mount Everest. And he said, Trav, and this is a 67, 68-year-old man who worked his guts out his whole life. But Trav, you realise I've never been out of Australia before. I went, exactly, mate. That's why we're going. So off we went. We went to advanced base camp with the full expedition team. Look, and if I was presenting this live, I'd be showing you pictures of him and I at base camp there on Everest, and absolutely life changing. It's not what you do, it's who you do it with. It's who you take along on the journey. It's not about me, it's about we. And the shared experiences, not just all about travel, by the way, but since then we've done the Kokoda track in Papua New Guinea together, which is a big hike, and I took 10 other bucket listers with me. We've done Machu Picchu, and we did the Inca Trail on lead up to to being at Machu Picchu for my 40th birthday, Dad and I, and we did Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and a game drive as well. We went to the top, and again with Mum and Dad on that one. Mum didn't do the climb, but Dad did and so I've dragged the old man around the world since, all thanks to this whole bucket list concept, and all I can say is him and I are best mates, wow. It's straight up. So, and I know when I share that story, and I've had so many fathers and sons become closer. They're ringing each other up, making it has a profound effect. So whenever I go and I might speak to a group of men, entrepreneurs, it just so happen to be a lot of men, or a boys' school, and or a youth leadership camp or something like that. There's a lot of, I know that guys are connecting more and more on the back of those kind of stories. And that's really what it's all about. It used to be about me doing dumb stuff by myself and, doing crazy adrenaline filled things around the world. But really now it's morphed into what can I do for other people and the kind of legacy, the kind acts for others and these sorts of things, these days. So, yeah, it's been pretty cool. I don't even know if I answered your first question.
Yeah, no, you did. Well, you did, because it was at, you
that were the top
let
two
us
things.
know exactly.
The third thing was probably I mentioned having lunch. I did the Ironman, trained for a whole year. Hadn't done a triathlon. Grew up as a swimmer, but hadn't done a triathlon before entering the Ironman. So I did it as a full-on experiment, and that actually helped. I did 40 or 50 videos in the training of it. They're up on my YouTube channel, and some of them are shocking. I just, but I trained and I did really well. Lost 6.5 kilograms during the race.
Of course.
So the Ironman ticked off. Look, probably the TED Talk as well. Meeting, having lunch with Tim Ferriss is another one. But you saw in that TED Talk, I ticked that off live in front of 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Nice. which was full on. There's 2,000 people. Me being on a 3x3 red dot with 4 cameras on me. It was terrifying.
I'm sure, like sweat and bullets, but you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was. Yeah, you couldn't.
If you
tell.
rewatch it, you'll notice about the 3-4 minute mark, I start.
I'll look for that. I'll look for that. Well, the Tim Ferriss one is something I would love to do too. I mean, he's an icon in my podcast world too. So it's
yeah. And I it's a compounding effect when you really do focus. And this is what I encourage people to do. Really focus in on their bucket list and separate their daily to-do list from their bucket list and put some real intention behind it. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what will show up. The fact is, you're not typing into Google, writing this stuff down. You're not typing into Google what you want. And my whole mission, Elizabeth, is to wake people up before they get given a use-by date. That's what the whole thing's about. I don't want, the bucket list movie is bullshit because it's about 2 guys that get given a cancer diagnosis and then they write a bucket list. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I've based my whole career on a stupid movie because it's, little late, fellas. So I want to help wake people up before they get given a use-by date because, people get infinitely resourceful when they're staring in the barrel of how much time they've got left. And suddenly they find the money, they suddenly find the time to make this stuff actually happen and connect with what their true north, might be. But this is, so that's the whole thing. It's not just about ticking a whole bunch of cool stuff off. It's really about unpacking. That's why I created the My Bucketlist Blueprint, which is in the book, right?
Yeah.
It's a 12-letter acronym for how to create a personally meaningful and holistic bucket list. It's really about helping people systematically identify what gives them meaning, pleasure, and fulfillment and more gratitude in their life and helps them go after those things more so. And how a person reverse engineers every aspect of their life in order to make this stuff come to fruition. So really, it's about the growth of them on this journey towards these self-imposed destinations. But more importantly, and this is what I really want to bring home, I want people to get really curious about the bigger version of them that sits on the other side of their bucket list, the person that they do not know yet, and that's called their potential, right?
Awesome.
And we know people that are people are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. Right. People are just, there's a lot of people just existing, not living. They're living by default, not by design. So this has been really a good light at the end of this whole COVID tunnel, this lockdown tunnel, to give people hope and to give people that put a smile on their face. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Most definitely. And what is because I was going to ask that coming up. What is the name of the book? I'll put everything in the show notes. And where can they find that?
Yeah. My Bucketlist Blueprint. Okay. So if they go to the bucketlistguide.com/book,
Okay.
They can buy one off my website, or they can buy it off Amazon, but you won't get my little autograph and little
Nice.
motivational message, because that's what I've been. This thing, I released it two weeks before Christmas. So I've got a whole pile of them just sitting here, and I've just been going down and writing little motive. This Sharpie has got a real workout.
Well, that's very nice of you. That's very personal.
That's what
of
it's
you.
all about.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the cool thing about it is I want people to absolutely abuse this book. It's designed as a workbook, and it's also designed for you to really extract and articulate into the book your reverse bucket list, your future bucket list. And there's a section at the end where you can actually send me your bucket list as well. And that's what I'm challenging you, Elizabeth, and your community. Send me your bucket list. I'm going to make you personally accountable to send me the bucket list through the link that's provided at the back of the book if you grab one. Because accountability is all what it's all about, and actually you could make all them accountable and, get them to send your lists. And I'm currently collecting 365 bucket lists.
Wow. Do you have time to look at them all, or you have a team? I'm hoping.
Yeah. Oh no, I steal ideas. Ideas off, and there's some freaky shit on there too. So
I'm sure
there's some freaky stuff, and some really inspirational stories that are coming out of it. And I've got families doing bucket lists together using the book. I've got couples doing bucket lists together. I've got companies doing it together. Most importantly, I've got individuals doing it, so they can, encourage people to take time out of their life to work on their life, put their own oxygen mask on first before they can help others.
Yeah, most definitely. And it is something that we all need in our lives. And like you said, we have to take control of our lives now, because and go through and understand what we truly want out of life. And purpose is everything. Purpose.
Yeah, 100%. And it, like this might be for some of your people out there, it might be just the icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. They're happy, they're fulfilled, they've got meaning and purpose, they're on point. This might be just some reminders.
Right.
But for some, it's been right place, right time. I've got people who have been through depression that have engaged, people who have been on suicide watch and engage. And it's really helped. It's really provided them with a set of tools, most importantly, a very structured framework to help them extract and articulate the things that really light them up. And it's, and how a person reverse engineers their life and changes their life in order to make that stuff come to fruition is what's really, really, really cool. So, some weird, wonderful stuff that comes out of people. And they just they send me, I get this really, you'll have to become part of it. I got a group on Facebook called #BucketListers. Request to join, and I'll put you in there.
Okay, perfect.
We make each other accountable in there.
Yeah.
And it's there's some great, but the cool thing about being in the community, we're sharing ideas with each other, and they're all sort of helping each other now, which is what it's all about. It's accelerated action.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
And ideas.
Yeah. And that, because you never know, one person will have this crazy, crazy idea, and another person be like, yeah, I want to do that. And it's like, you just never know. You tap into something that somebody else enjoys and just didn't know that it could be possible. Anything's possible, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's what anything is possible. But here's the thing. You might be thinking, all right, well, why write a bucket list? Now, I know what I want to do. I don't know what direction. Yeah, but guess which one gets done first on a day-to-day basis? It's your daily to-do list, and not until something traumatic or dramatic happens to you or a loved one you start to reprioritize. And I don't wish that. I don't wish that on anyone. When I do that 80 squares thing, and as I did in the TED talk, it's in the book as well. That is my way of giving everyone a virtual cancer diagnosis. I know I'm not a motivational speaker, never will be, but that's just a reality check. And it's and that's my way of going, wake the fuck up,
Right.
like hurry up, and you ain't got much time left, and we all take our time for granted, and or we're waiting until someday or the perfect time to come around. I'll do that. We live in this delayed gratification society. Our whole 401k superannuation system is all about retirement. And that's where the golden years, that's when you can enjoy the spoils. Yeah, but what about now? The statistics don't lie. Like right now, depression, anxiety, suicide, youth suicide, the overprescription of antidepressants, we've even got this thing now called the loneliness epidemic, that's going through, and that's the adverse effect of social media, and these stats don't lie. So I want to change the narrative around that, like now, not wait until someday, not wait until the perfect time comes around, because there is none. Help people be happier now, not wait till later on.
Have you seen a shift because like you said, due to right now COVID, the isolation, the loneliness, have you seen a shift, like increase of people wanting to do this bucket list, or is it kind of?
There has been.
Yeah. Because
it's a good question. Yeah, because I think when you're going, because when you're going through stuff by yourself, right? Whether it be depression, you sort of comparing your behind the scenes footage with someone else's, the world's highlights reel, right? So you're always comparing yours against theirs. But right now, there's kind of nothing to compare against. We're all going through the same shit at the moment. And it's like everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah.
But there's been some real positives, although being negative, the mental health statistics are already, frightening. And then you go through COVID on top of this, and lockdowns and everything else that's going on. It's crazy. But what's good that's come out of it, families have become closer. Some families have become closer. People are rediscovering, they're big, instead of doing all international travel, be a tourist in your own hometown first. A lot of that's going on.
Yeah.
A lot of people have recalibrated on what their definition of work-life, of what their work-life blend is from now on. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life blend. People are redefining what their new normal is going to be after all this is said and done. Am I working from home more? Am I not being stuck in traffic for 3 hours a day anymore? I've embraced technology. I've been forced to embrace technology. So I've adapted and I've come out all right. Yeah. I've innovated in different parts of my business. And as a result, that's been a gold mine. Some companies are coming back, early statistics that everyone working in a remote work team has actually been more productive for a lot of companies out there than being stuck in an office. So it's like, maybe this is the big shift that we all needed. So a lot of people have been, redefining what their work looks like, but also for this, redefining what their life plan looks like, and recalibrating. And this has been quite a good compass to use during that recalibration process, because we've all taken a big global collective deep breath in and done it kind of at the same time, or are still doing it. If you're still bitching about going back to the old normal and what it used to be, and I can't wait till we get a vaccine and I can go back to being normal again, you've lost. Right. You're done.
Right.
There is no old
reason.
Normal. Shit has changed forever. Get over
it. There's a reason for this, it's unfortunate though that so many lives have been lost. So I think, in my opinion, that's another reason why people are increasing doing this bucket list, is because not just the isolation and the mental health, but I think also because, oh shit, this is serious, so what can I do? It's kind of like us taking a step back and seeing what our lives are truly about and our health, so I think that's probably another reason why people are like stepping up to this.
Yeah, it's been really good like that. And I'm just stoked that I can play my little role in it, and hopefully change the narrative. Start with one family and expand out from there. But we've got 3 years ago, I started licensing out. I started certifying bucket list coaches to teach this stuff. Rather than just be about me. Now we've got certified bucket list coaches in 22 countries around the world teaching this stuff and teaching, it's group coaching programs out there in the public sphere and also in corporate. And we do group coaching because we want to affect the lives of a lot of people. This is one of my bucket list items is this legacy piece. And at the end of the day, we're getting a lot of call-ups from decision makers within businesses, especially saying, look, we now have a remote work team, and I'm really concerned about the mental health of some of them, but we want to keep them engaged. We want, trying to maintain a sense of culture and not just talk about work all the time isn't what we want to do one of your programs. And so we're getting a lot of those kind of call-ups at the moment, and from companies that want to be an employer of choice, that actually care about employee happiness and engagement. Not every business is like that, but attracting and retaining good staff is critical and very costly. So is mental health and turnover and that sort of thing, and retraining. And so, it's maybe right place, right time for the book. It's seemingly you produce these things, right, and you don't know where it kind of lands, the ripple effect, and it's popping up in all sorts of different places at the moment. It's pretty cool.
Cool. And you actually just touched on the health coach, or the coaching part of it, and that's one I want to kind of dig in a little bit. Can anybody sign up as a coach, as a bucket list coach? And
not everyone. No. You asked me 3 years ago. I'd be like, yeah, you love coaching people. Yeah, sure, come on in. No, but I make the final decision. I've got a great team, but I make the final decision on who I give my brand to partner with. And so our selection criteria is a lot more exclusive than it was 3 years ago. And you can tell that we've gone through, some good eggs and some not so good eggs. And so, there's certain criteria that only recently we're redefining as who we want to have as a partner.
Right.
And we do some really big programs out there with some big companies. And I want good people representing certainly my last 10 years of work and flying the flag for us. So but people can go to bucketlistcoach.com /webinars, and they can actually watch a webinar. We're redoing our website and everything at the moment, but they can go to a webinar, watch a webinar, and see if it's right for them, and make an inquiry through there.
Okay, awesome. And then these coaches, are they just dispersed anywhere, or what do they do?
We've got see, normally this is an add-on to what you're already doing, and that's so we've got business coaches, we've got life coaches, we've got executive coaches, career coaches, ex-teachers, influencers. I don't even know what that is, but people might have our youngest coach is 21, our oldest coach is 65. I've got people, this is cool because we've got people who have actually gone through cancer or had a life-altering moment and had an epiphany of wanting to help other people. And so, this framework, this business framework, this marketing collateral and everything that we give them, and the support that they get, this really is maybe a side hustle for some people, maybe a full-time deal for some. It just depends.
Right.
At the end of the day, if they choose to do it, we've definitely, our team has got their back, but it's normally an add-on to what you're currently doing. It's a complement to what you're currently doing. And it's pretty cool. We've even got bucket list coaches in countries where if you translate the word bucket list, it makes no freaking sense at all. They still get it.
Why not?
Yeah, I know. But the moment you say, "Oh, let's do a bucket list program," and we've got, all our marketing stuff. We do a bucket list program. We've had, some CEOs, bosses just go, oh yeah, God, all of our employees need to do that. It's like, I haven't even told you what we do yet. No, I know they need it. They need it. We've got to get them engaged in their life, and that has a ripple effect into engagement at work, and it really does.
Well, that's a good thing that at least companies are open to the idea. There's certain companies that are open to the idea of, we need to, have our employees that, yes, the mental health, everything. So I'm glad they're open.
Yeah, but what a lot of people don't know is really the foundation of what I've always taught is positive psychology.
Yeah.
So positive psychology is performance-based psychology versus regressive psychology of trying to make people better and get them up to normal again. But who the hell wants to be normal, right? Nobody.
What is normal?
Yeah. So performance-based psychology. So this is really helping people identify, positive psych is the pillars are, identifying the things that provide us meaning, pleasure, and fulfillment, and gratitude, and more mindfulness, going to their strengths, and just doing more of that in their day-to-day work and in their life brings on a happier person. Wow, rather than trying to fix weaknesses, right?
Yeah,
all the time. It's going to more.
It's not saying that we're broken or that something's wrong with you. That doesn't work.
We're all broken. We've all got something wrong with us.
Right.
But get someone else to do that bit.
Right. And it doesn't work though. It doesn't work as far as, moving on with your life or moving, to a better place in your life. You gotta, and you're speaking my language when it comes to positive psychology. So yes, it's the strengths, it's the, the wins that you do, it's everything that, looking at your life, and it's not always going to be positive, but at least taking a something from your life that you can reflect on that is a positive moment. So
So we're kind of building leaders through this concept, and it's a real creating a bucket list, and more importantly doing it as a group, in group accountability. It has an amazing effect, and that's the tip of the iceberg what I'm talking about here, but we go really deep with it. And so it's positive psych, but but we've put the brand of bucket list over the top of it, and that's been really cool and really applicable, tangible for a lot of people to get their head around. It's like a life coaching framework, but without saying life coaching, because that just gets met with skepticism wherever you go.
Of course. Well, I could just talk to you forever, Trav. This has been just such a wonderful conversation. All of what you're doing is tremendous work, and I think it is completely needed, especially in these times. So I am, completely on board with this, and I am definitely going to be doing the bucket list and sending you my bucket list. So, and I'll also
definitely
let my listeners know how they can do that as well. And we'll hold each other accountable for that too. So
definitely. Yeah, I love it.
So where can my audience find you? Like, where do you hang out at?
That's a good point. I don't know. No, actually, I do know. It's Ocean Grove here in Victoria. I'm not allowed to get on a plane. I don't think anyone's allowed to get on a plane at the moment. So I've been quite grounded. Saying no to gigs all around the world really hurts. But,
I'm sure.
I'd hate to be that guy that brought in coronavirus back into Australia and created the third wave. But no, people can connect with me online. That's why I love doing these as well. The bucketlistguide.com is the main website. They can see the book and stuff from there. But probably Instagram is where I hang out the most these days, which is bucketlistguide.travbell, or if you put the bucket list guy, no doubt you'll find me somewhere.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's another bucket list guy out there.
No. I think I own about 50 domains around all that.
Oh, there you go. You own it all. You're taking over. You're taking over.
No. All good. Well, great to connect. Thanks, heaps, for having me on the show, Elizabeth.
Yeah, actually, I do have one more question now. You're not off the hook yet. I usually ask this last question to everybody. So, and I know you're going to come up with a wonderful answer. So here we go. Can you leave us with a final thought or any words of inspiration that you have?
Yeah, easy. Grab a book, watch the TED Talk, or just at least write your bucket list down. What's easy to do is easy not to do, right? But get it out of your head today. Put it on paper. Remember these things called pens? Remember these things? Yeah. And this stuff called paper. It's crazy. I know it's a crazy analog concept, but write some stuff down. It's actually proven that if you write stuff down, you've got a 42% more likelihood of them actually manifesting. And there's actually research to suggest if you actually put pen to paper versus typing into your phone or into a Google Doc or something, it's more of a conscious process. So write some stuff down. Write it down and simply write down your bucket list, and you'll see. And I know it's easy to do, but if you don't get it onto paper, then it's up in your head, swimming around with your daily to-do list. And guess which one gets done first? So you're going to write your bucket list down. You're going to send it to Elizabeth and I. Simple as that.
Yes. Yes,
do it,
you are.
and do it today. Do it today as if your life depended on it, because your life actually does depend on it.
Who knows if there's tomorrow, right? So yeah, you never know. Well, that is wonderful. Like I said, I knew you were going to come up with something. So I can't wait to do this bucket list. And I think I should have done this a long time ago, but it's never too late to start now. So thank you for the parting words. And thank you again, Trav, for all that you do. You're a wonderful inspiration. And I'll definitely link all of the information. Like, you have a whole bunch of stuff that my listeners can definitely go to and check you out. And definitely the TEDx talk, everything will be in the show notes. So thank you again. And yeah, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. See you guys.